Hey, what's up? This is Matt Dietz, and this is Agency Launch. This is the show where I talk about running an insurance agency. I talk about sales and marketing strategies for insurance agents. I talk about staffing for insurance agents. I talk about retention and customer service for insurance agents. One of the most popular questions that I get right now is, hey, Matt, I know I'm supposed to quote a certain amount of people every day. How do I find people to quote? Well, if you text me right now to 208-213-8809, I have an asset pulled directly from my masterclass that I'm giving out for free. Text me 20 policies to 208-213-8809, and I will show you how to write 20 policies this week. On with the show. All right. What's happening? So today, I want to tell a little story. I had a guy come in a couple weeks ago, and I knew I was coming in to my office. This was a marketer, right? And I'm like, all right, this guy's going to come and sell me something. I wonder what he does. Is he a roofer? Is he a restoration guy? Is he a glass guy? What does this guy want? I respect this type of work because it's hard, although I don't enjoy it when they come in. I'm working. I got stuff to do. So he rolls in, and it turns out he already talked to Monty like a week ago. And, here he is again. He's like, hey, you must be Matt. And he comes right in and he starts talking to me. He's like, hey, you're a Cubs fan and this and that. And he knew a little bit about me. And I could see what he had in his hand. And I was like, hey, man, yeah, what can I do for you? And he's like, well, I'm starting up this magazine here in town. And, I looked you up on Google, and, you're one of the best reviewed agents in the Valley. And I wanted to maybe spotlight you in my magazine. And I'm like, I know what this is. So I'm here to tell you, if this ever happens to you, this is somebody who is looking to sell you advertising in their magazine. This is a way to go when it comes to advertising. I do not recommend it. This will not make your phone ring. I did this many years ago and lost, $2,500. Some people say, well, it's a good way to brand. You know what? Branding doesn't pay the bills for me. I don't, just because people know who you are in a magazine doesn't sell policies. I agree with them. I mean, it's good for branding. There are cheaper ways to brand, like social media. All right. These magazines are expensive. I know I'm not going to get return on investment. I know it. I tried it. Okay. And I don't think print advertising has gotten any more lucrative over the past 10 years since I did it last. So I stopped and I said, hey, man, appreciate you coming in. I know this is a tough gig, going door to door, asking business owners, to advertise in your magazine. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not interested. I tried this before, and, I'm not going to do it. And, he stood right up to my denial. He's like, hey, man, don't worry. And then we just started small talking about other stuff. He's like, I'd still like to come back and learn more about your business and see if there's anything else we can do to help each other out. That was talking my language. Okay. Now he's talking my language. I actually set an appointment with him to come back. I love the small business community in my town. I love it. And if a new person is going to come in here and hustle like that and try and, tell me something right out of the gate, I respect it. And so he said, I want to learn more about your business and how I can help you out. That is a line that you want to put in your back pocket. All right. So I invited him back. He came back to my office yesterday and we talked for an hour. And he's like, tell me about your business. And so I told him all about my business. And I was like, tell me about your business. And he told me that he just moved into town 7 or 8 months ago. And this was something that he'd run fitness businesses and gyms when he lived in a different state, California. And he's been an entrepreneur before. And, and then we get down to the conversation where I was like, he kind of ran out. He took a light run at me again. He's like, can I show you the magazine? I'm like, yeah, sure. Show me the magazine again. So I looked at the magazine, and it's very similar to something that I get at my house every month. He's like, does anything stand out? I was like, you know what? That looks very similar to what I get at my house every month, couple times a month. This is not the only publication that does something like this. I was like, there's the family on the front, and then there's the story, there's the recipe, there are all the ads. There's always a recipe, there's the spotlight of somebody, and there's a calendar of events and stuff like that. This must be a potential. I don't know the business, but I'm sure that there are franchise models out there that are like this. And so I was like, yeah, this looks pretty familiar. He's okay, thanks. And I asked, he says, what can I actually asked him, I was like, hey man, you got a pretty good story. I said, how'd you like to come on my podcast and tell your story of running a business? And he's like, I'd love that. And he's like, I've done some podcasts before. The guy was really savvy. And so he's going to come in a couple weeks, and we're going to do a podcast on my other podcast, None of My Business, where I interview local business owners. So I'm going to give him something of value right out of the gate. Okay. And then I asked him, I said, hey man, who do you need to meet? Right. We've talked about this in the past about how to have these conversations. Who do you need to meet? He says, well, I'm looking for realtors and mortgage people, anybody that would be advertised. I said, I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people in town, and I picked 3 people right off the top of my head. People that are really, like, I'm really well connected, but like I know a couple of people who kind of connect people for a living. Like they run networking groups and marketing groups and stuff, like network marketing groups and stuff like that. I was like, I'm going to get you in touch with George and Joe. This is what they do, and here's how they connect you. I'm going to try and plug you into the infrastructure here in town. He's like, man, that's awesome. Thanks. I said, I also know a jeweler that I insure, and I know that she advertises in a publication like this because I've seen her ad. I'll reach out to her and see if she's interested in meeting you, but I'm not just going to give you her name, so that you can bug her. Because totally respect that. Ask her. Anything you can do, fine. And then he said, what can I do for you? I didn't have anything off the top of my head. If I was being aggressive and if this was the first part of my career, I would have asked for his business. I'd be like, hey man, how can I help you with insurance? Home, auto, life. I'm going to get something of his, but I'm going to be patient for it. After he makes these connections, I'll follow up with him. After I record with him, I'll follow up with him. I can afford to be patient at this time in my career. If it was early in my career, I'd be like, yeah, man, let me look at your home and auto or life. Let's help each other out. Okay. I'm going to connect you with a bunch of people. I'm going to try and help you build your business. Why don't you let me take a shot at earning yours? And that's what I would have done earlier. That's what I would encourage you to do if you are at that part of your career. Okay. This is the way I built my business, on hundreds of conversations like this over an almost 20-year career. All right. He and I are connected now. He knows me. He knows a little bit about me. He's been in my space for an hour and a half. Okay. We're going to create some content together. We're going to be linked. All right. Formally. I'm going to connect him with people that are going to be good for his business. Okay. That's how I do it. And that's how I would encourage you to do it. This was a guy who tried to sell me something out of the gate. All right. And I've said it before, like selling to salespeople is one of the easiest things to do. All right. So don't necessarily shun the people that are coming into your office. Shift your mindset into how can we help each other out? Okay. That's a tough job. You know what it's like to probably walk into an office and do a cold drop-in. It's hard. Have some empathy and be like, dude, I know this is a tough gig. I'm not going to buy anything from you today, but let's figure something out. Okay. That's what I would recommend that you do. Start having those conversations. These people are coming into your office. Okay. So there you go. My name is Matt. This is Agency Launch. You can find me all over the place. You can find me on LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram at Dietz Agency. Check out my program at agencylaunch.net. I'm making some changes with my program, some exciting changes with my program. If you're interested in hearing what those are, reach out to me and let's get on the phone. Let's have a conversation. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Keep up the good work.